So something we artists hear a lot from the non-artist people are things like,
"Wow, you're a really great artist. I wish I could draw like that. I can't even draw a stickman."
well, to that I always say,
Boulder Dash and a fiddly dee. Of course you can.
anyone can draw a stickman. You put a pen or a pencil in your hand and you make the lines and you can make a stickman. It's not that hard. Trick is to take that stickman and transform it into something that looks like a proportional human being. And that's what I'm going to show you right now over here. So come on, grab your thingamabob and doodly-doo and, you know. Okay, so I'm going to be working in Sketchbook Pro, so I have lots of space here. Oh, sorry, I guess it's just called Sketchbook now, no longer Sketchbook Pro. That's apparently something else. By the way, I got a quick question for y'all. You'll notice here there's kind of a crappy looking backdrop. I put that up basically to cover up a counter and sink. It's not the most appealing looking thing. They always tell you when you're doing YouTube videos to make nice backgrounds, and unfortunately I can't do anything with this. I've got the shelf with some little collectibles on it, and that's all right. And you see people, they'll make some nice, they've got shelves and they have nice lighting and they put the little LED lights around and they dim the lights and it looks really nice. I can't, behind there is a sink and a bunch of nonsense on the counter, and it looks awful. This is a little studio. It's a spare office that I get to use here in the apartment building I live in, and it's handy. I love it, but it's just when I have the camera set up this direction, it looks awful back there, and I really don't know what to do with that. I can't take it out. I can't change it. The only thing I can think of doing is maybe if I put up like a foldable wall or something right here. That's about it, but otherwise I really don't know what else to do with it. You've probably seen it in other videos. I just decided to hang that because it just looked so awful, and it was distracting, I thought. And even though this is just a tiny little video way up in the corner, it was enough to be annoying. But anyways, if you have any ideas, I'm open to it. Let's get into what I'm doing here. We're gonna start with a basic stickman. I've done this video before. You've probably seen one of my older videos. I think it's up, maybe it's not. I know it's on Instagram video, but this is kind of thing's been done before. Whoops, I'm covering the mic. And I'm just going to kind of go over it again anyway, because I think it's a fun little exercise to do, especially if you're not a person that draws regularly, but you're trying to improve what it is you're drawing. So starting with like a stickman, everyone does a stickman, right? They draw a line and a circle for the head, and they get the little arms that stick out and the legs, and maybe they stick feet, and I've seen people draw hands and they put little spider or 5 little lines out for the hands, and you know, it's just very crude looking, and a lot of people, that's about the best that they can do. But I want to take this step by step. I'm going to transform this for you and show you a little bit of what you can do, because starting with this framework, this is pretty much like everybody's got the basic idea. You look at this and you know it's a person, and you know it is because of the number of limbs, the face, the head. Everything's there that tells you that this is a human being. It's a crude representation of it, but it is a human being. So how can we make this look a little more effective? Well, let's start breaking down the proportions of all these lines. So the head is a little more oval shape. Let's just make a little more of an egg shape. You can even make the bottom a little narrower than the top. And yeah, that's a little bit large, actually, what I want to work with. Something like this, right? Now the head, let's take the size of this. And we're just going to roughly estimate our way down, making little lines here. By the way, again, I'm using a tablet. You can use whatever you like. Pen, paper, the crayon in your wall, whatever you need. Let's go down here. Now, people are different heights, and you've seen artists probably measure it out, the height of a person by how many heads tall they are. And these little lines here for each level down, for each head length down, is a good marker for where things go in proportion. So this is 1 head, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We'll go with 7. You can go anywhere from like 5.5, 6, up to 8, depending on the height of the person. These are a little darker than I wanted, but that's okay. Actually, I'll tell you what, I'm going to add a little bit more here. I'm going to go about a little over 7.5 here. I think 7's a tad bit short. We'll go with 8. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.5 to 3/4. All right. So let's take the center line here down again. But this time we're going to go down about 1, 2, 3, 4, not quite, maybe about 3.5. We'll bring it down to about there. So this will be the upper body down to where the legs begin. Instead of the legs coming out like this, we're just going to draw a little line across here, a little wider than the head, and we're going to bring the legs just straight down to the bottom here. And this is where the feet go. People usually draw a line. It's fine. You can draw a little triangle. It doesn't have to be perfect. And the arms, the shoulders start about halfway down the second head, right about here. Do the same thing again. And I'm going to bring the lines down there, actually just a little below the waist. So we're already starting to see this a little more proportionately correct. So going by this again, let's start with this here again, and we'll use these points here as a little bit of a reference. All right, so coming over here, we'll do the head again. If it's not perfect, don't worry about it. If the proportions are off a little bit, that's fine. So the hips are going to be about here. They probably should have been up just a little bit more. And the feet we're going to bring down to here, because the legs are actually a little bit longer than the torso. As I said, the head's a bit high here. You know what? I'm going to actually cut the head down a little bit. I think that head's just a little bit tall. All right. And the center line is going to come down here. This is the sort of the spine, if you will. And I'm going to bring these out and add a little bit of a circle that represents the joint of the hips where these go in. And the knees are going to be about halfway, right around lightly here. So we'll come down and just draw some simple lines. We'll leave a little tiny bit of a space there between this. This is, the thigh and the lower part of the calves down to the heels, right down here. And we'll just do this real quick. This just sort of glitched on me. Is everybody still there? Okay. So again, the shoulders, I want to make the shoulders a little bit wider. So we'll take, say, the width of this, and we'll add about half onto each side. And that's about what I'm going to draw right across here. And I draw a little point just to indicate the shoulder joint. The elbows will come down about halfway here, and usually finish right around where the waist is. Now the rib cage goes in here. I almost forgot about the rib cage. The rib cage is kind of barrel shaped, but it's a little bit narrower at the top. So you can kind of do that. Don't go out too wide. Maybe just a little bit wider than the head, and you can stop about, let's see, that would come down about halfway here. And add a little bit of a, make it a little bit arced on the bottom, but that's okay. And you can round at the top. That's roughly where the rib cage goes in. So already we're seeing now how we've gone from this, making everything proportioned out over to this. If you mark these lines down, they're a great indicator. You can find guides like this everywhere. He's leaning a little bit to the one side, but that's okay. He's been drinking too much. So we're not going to worry about the face. That's for another day, the face. And then the hands, your hands kind of touch your thighs. That's what she said. Make the elbows there. And the knees are going to go right here. I usually don't like making little circles like that, and you're going to hear me bitch about that later. This is just indicators, is all they are. I usually don't think they're very good when it comes to anatomy, and I'm not going to go into the anatomy too much. But these are just simply to indicate where joints are. So from here you can see I've made little triangles for the feet. I like to go into more details about the feet because the feet are not they're not triangles like this. They usually come out and give a little more of a heel. The heel, like you have your foot and the heel doesn't come straight down off of it. It actually comes back for a bit as support, and then the foot comes out from there. So that's why I've gone back to add a little bit more support back in here, and then the arch of the foot coming up. One foot's larger than the other because he's deformed. So I'm not going to go into the muscle structure and all that, but this is really, really nice, simple, crude. I think it's a little bit far here, to be honest with you. But it's okay because I know what I'm doing. I think the rib cage is a little bit small, and maybe this could have been a little bit narrow. Doesn't matter. The idea is you can go online. You don't have to listen to me. You can go online and find charts like this everywhere. And I think I'm going to maybe just stop here for now. But this gives you at least a very simple breakdown. In 3 easy steps, we've gone from this to this. And the hand, again, is something else as well. I've just put a little arc here because if you look at a hand straight on from the wrist down, it curves a little bit like this. But the hand is a whole nother box of wax. It's a thing. It's something else. I'm not going to do it right now. Here's your homework assignment, and it'll be due in a week. Try this. Break it down. Break the heads into I can't write. 7. Boy, that looks awful, doesn't it? Oh my God. 7 and 7.5. Most charts I find say 8, and I find 8 stretches a little bit, but you can make somebody look taller with 8. It doesn't really matter. You can compress this down as long as the head proportions mark off where things go in the body. There's a lot of little half areas like the knees, and this is like part way down here. The shoulders are like the halfway point, and but again, you can kind of adjust them a little bit according to the person, but you get the general idea. This is something you can take, you can have fun with, and let me know how it turns out. I'm going to stop.